The moment you run out of water, you stop being Spanish or Indian, you stop being left or right. You become a thirsty mammal. Hi, and welcome back. No one applauds when water comes out of the tap. No one stands up when the lights turn on. No anthem plays when food appears in the store. These things are too ordinary to feel important, too simple to feel valuable. They form the baseline of our lives, so stable, so quiet, that we stop noticing them altogether. And because we stop noticing them, our attention drifts elsewhere. We start to listen to speeches about destiny and greatness. We argue about politics, borders and power. We get emotional about flags, leaders, and our great history. Big words, serious faces, a lot of passion. And yet none of these things can quench thirst. None of them can clean the polluted air. None of them can turn soil fertile again. None of them can remove microplastic from the oceans and from your body. Somehow we've learned to value the loud over the essential, the symbolic over the real, the dramatic over the necessary. And only then does the strange illusion fully reveal itself. We live as if politics, flags, parliaments, and GDP numbers were foundations of reality, as if they hold the world together, as if they give us meaning, stability, development. But remove clean water, air, stable climate, and suddenly all these symbols become just a decoration, expensive wallpaper on collapsing wall. Believe it or not, but reality will set the priority for us if we do not do it voluntarily. We build our ideas of nations like children build sandcastles, engaging activity, very serious faces, nice designs, high walls, towers, a lot of pride and joy. And all this time the ocean has been slowly approaching, the reality we all have ignored. And we still argue about who owns which grain of sand, whose castle is bigger, who deserves more shoreline. Meanwhile, the tide moves closer, wave by wave, whispering, "It doesn't matter. You are all standing on the same beach. You are all visitors here." We behave as if we have infinite time, as if the ocean will wait politely for our next election cycle, as if nature will pause its processes until we finish arguing online. But the tide doesn't negotiate. It doesn't slow down because our attention is elsewhere. It doesn't care about our schedules, ambitions, or political calendars. Reality moves at its own pace, whether we acknowledge it or not. The overwhelming power of nature is more than all our capacity, all our military power, all the energy systems we have created. And yet we created an illusion of control, a belief that technology can fix anything, that money can buy anything, that military power can protect us from everything. But none of these can stop drought, or rebuild a rainforest, or resuscitate an extinct species. Control was always a comforting story, not a fact. We built systems that made us feel invincible, and in that feeling of invincibility, we forgot how fragile we truly are. We disregard the power of nature, putting us above all and actively destroying everything around us as if tomorrow never comes. Climate change, exhaustion of soil, resource scarcity, pollution of air and water, we all know it, but we tend to ignore it in our pursuit for career, comfort and influence. But think about the moment that will eventually come to all us. When you run out of water, you stop being Indian, Pakistani or Turkish. You become a thirsty mammal. Borders become jokes. Passports become cardboard. National pride becomes a fantasy. Strong leader of nations becomes irrelevant and powerless. Because thirst doesn't care about your political view, religion, or ethnicity. Let's look at the pressures coming toward us, not in a dramatic Hollywood way, but in a simple, natural way. Water scarcity, already affecting billions. Soil degradation, making food harder to grow. Pollution steadily weakening us, causing disease and mass extinction. Climate change already affecting hundreds of millions. Collapsing fisheries, oceans turning empty. Heat zones where humans simply cannot survive outdoors. All these didn't arrive like explosions. They appeared slowly, quietly, almost politely, and they came to stay forever. A dry season that lasts a little longer, a river that runs a little thinner, a harvest that comes in lighter than expected. Nothing dramatic at first, nothing headline-worthy, just a slow, steady erosion of stability. And suddenly the crisis is here. The danger is in how everything links together. Water scarcity increases food scarcity. Food scarcity increases migration. Migration increases political tension. Political tension increases conflict. This is not a chain of isolated problems. It's one interconnected system collapsing at different speeds. And at that point, will your flag be more important than your survival? We like to think we are strong because we compete, dominate, fight, outperform. But this is the strength of someone running fast in the wrong direction. Competition, domination, nationalism, they make us feel strong, but they make us collectively weak. Competition makes us impressive. Cooperation keeps us alive. Because real strength is not the ability to defeat others. Real strength is the ability to support life. A society is strong when its children breathe clean air, when its elders drink safe water, when its communities trust each other. That is the kind of strength that does not collapse when the weather changes. You can't compete your way out of drought. You can't dominate the atmosphere. You can't force the ocean into producing fish. You cannot intimidate the soil into becoming fertile. The only real survival strategy is direct cooperation and understanding. Air is not yours or mine. It is ours. The same is water, oceans, nature, resources. To live in harmony with each other and nature, we need to work together. Share, not hoard. Understand, not fear. Be aware, not blind loyalty, because nature rewards ecosystems, not empires. Why do we still cling to symbols with no physical meaning? Nationality, state, flag. These are human inventions, very elaborate fantasies. Useful sometimes, yes, but not the foundations of life. The paradox of belonging is very deep. We cling to symbols, nationality, language, flags, as if they contain any truth, as if these inventions defined who we really are. But we rarely identify with the only thing that is undeniably true about us, that we are Homo sapiens, part of nature, a branch of life on a living planet. We defend imaginary borders, but we destroy the rivers and forests that sustain us. We protect symbols with passion, yet neglect the ecosystems that make our existence possible. This is the tragedy of modern identity. We fight for the things that are not real and ignore the things that truly are. We conflict with our neighbours which presidential candidate is best, as if we knew them personally and as if they care about us and not about own wealth and status. We enter in war conflict with our neighbouring countries over meaningless ideas that only sit in our head. Nationality, political systems, alliances, religion, language. The real wealth is simple: peace, harmony, stability, clean air, clean water, food on the land, fish in the ocean. Everybody wants it. It's a paradox of intelligence. We can build rockets that land themselves. We can edit genes. We can send probes outside the solar system. But we can't agree to stop poisoning the ocean that feeds us. We can't agree to protect the forests that produce our oxygen. We can't agree to share water. Smart brains, dumb collective behaviour, as if the species with the most advanced technology still hasn't learned basic teamwork. So here is a new perspective. We are not 200 nations, these are our invention. We are not different categories of humans. This is only our fantasy. We are one species, living inside one ecosystem, breathing one atmosphere, drinking from one hydrological cycle. We have to realise that and start thinking like this. Every one of us, every day. We don't need a crisis to remind us who we are. We don't need the ocean to reach our doorstep before we look at our neighbours and see partners, not competitors. We must stop listening to fear and start listening to heart. Because in the end, survival's not about flags or borders, but about whether we're wise enough to protect the things that keep us alive. And the choice is ours, to act before the tide arrives, or to wake up when the sandcastle is already underwater